Hello, hello, Cancer. Welcome to your 2020 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Cancer. And before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that I will be offering a tarot pop-up. So make sure you sign up for my newsletter, or you can just go to onyxhealing.com. Everything you need is over there. I think I'm going to do those from time to time. So if you are interested in that, make sure you stay up to date. And if you would like more guidance throughout your 2020 year, make sure you subscribe to my channel because you know I'm going to be delivering these delicious readings every single month. And without further ado, I am going to lay this spread out and then we will get started. All right, let's get started with these oracle cards for 2020. I almost thought that said forging. I am forgiving. Okay, so this is kind of allowing things to process in relationships, right? Particularly because forgiveness is a relationship thing. And whether that be forgiving someone for their unconsciousness or forgiving someone for something that may have inflicted harm, but no longer carrying the burden of the negative emotions that go along with that, right? Forgiveness is a process. I kind of have a mixed feelings on it. You can listen to my podcast episode about it if you want me to go in depth about that. But really, I am forgiving. I see that more as acceptance. So it doesn't necessarily lead to reconciliation. It doesn't necessarily lead to the relationship going anywhere, but it's just relieving yourself of the burden. That's what forgiveness is all about. So let's see what else we have going on. When you least expect. Okay, so this is kind of like some fortune, prosperity, clarity, guidance, whatever it is that you're in the market for is going to come up when you least expect it. So this is kind of an exciting thing to have sitting here. And then we have thrive, imagine an easeful, prosperous outcome. Create a pathway to resources that supports your vision. Release any tendency to assume a struggle is necessary. Yeah, so the guidance that really comes from that Thrive card is, what if this could just be super easy? What if it was simple? What if you had the resources, the people, the necessary stuff that was going to make this vision a reality? What if that could just be like handed over to you? How would that feel in your body? And then we have contentment. The nice thing about this energy is that it's not wanting, it's not needy or like looking outside of yourself for something. The contentment is ultimately bringing you into a state of peace and acceptance, again with that acceptance word. And from that space, you're going to feel more and more confident as you go. You're going to feel more content and grounded as you move through this. And also the contentment is going to make things feel easier. Okay, now the central energy for you in 2020 is the 9 of Pentacles. Beautiful, enjoying the fruits of your labor, finally getting the things that you need, getting the things that you want. I like to consider this basically, you've planted the seeds, you've done the work, you've set the intention, you've done all of these things, and now you're actually starting to pick the fruit. There's actually stuff that's compounding from the efforts that you've been giving, whatever it is that's important to you, whatever you're building and whatnot. So let's see what the crossing energy is. We have strength, personal power. I like that there's a bear in this card. I really like that. So strength is just showing you that you have the energy to get it done. You have the energy to make it happen. And I think because you're starting to see the benefits of all of the work that you've put in, just be mindful, and I say this every time, you don't want to just move on to the next thing, right? You don't want to do that, otherwise you don't get to kind of marinate in your achievements and your accomplishments and how far you've come, and that energy of success, achieving, what have you. We don't want to become overly attached to it, but really embodying those feelings is what's going to make you a magnet for more. So don't gloss over the Nine of Pentacles. Anytime that comes up, it's kind of like soak up the feelings of success or fulfillment or whatever is coming through. Those things are okay to kind of sink in. There's always going to be a next level. There's always going to be another goal. There's always going to be all of that other stuff. You can get there, but make sure you show appreciation for all of the hard work you've done. What you have shifting out is the Two of Pentacles. This is flip-flopping, decision-making, a lack of clarity. The Two of Pentacles comes up when we don't know what to do, when we're kind of in that position of, how do I even tackle this issue? You have the clarity and guidance that you need now. That's coming through now in present time. And so you can really build and compound off of that. And it's just going to make your life a hell of a lot easier if you shift away from that which it looks like you're doing. It's less of the wishy-washiness and just stepping into alignment and clarity and moving forward with purpose. Because ultimately, the Two of Pentacles, while we like to put a lot of pressure on our decision making, right? Like, oh my God, this is going to be what either makes or breaks my life. It can feel like a really life-threatening decision. Ultimately, that is not the case. That's not really how it's going to work. You're going to land where you need to land, so you can take some pressure off of that. And then the oncoming energy for you is the Five of Pentacles. Don't worry, I'll clarify this for you. But it almost looks like, bear with me, there's a little bit of comfort in scarcity. So you're going to want to be aware of this. I'm getting that this is just something to work on. So while it's kind of like, I'm seeing that the reality of your situation is that you have overwhelming abundance of success or whatever it is that you want or whatever it is that you've built and been working on. You're finally receiving those things. But I think your mind, your ego, your shadow, your wounded inner child, whatever it is that's coming up, might be giving you some criticism that it's not enough. You haven't done enough. You're not moving fast enough. You're not building fast enough. You're not healing fast enough, right? So you're going to want to watch out for that. Let me clarify this card. King of Spades. So equivalent to the King of Swords. Remember that you can own the confidence within yourself. You know how far you've come. You know all of the work that you've done. You know what your story is. And that's a really important gift that you have and that you're sharing with the world. And so I just see the Five of Pentacles as being another thing to work through. It's not going to derail you. It's just coming up as something that needs to be met with your inner knowing, your inner truth. The King of Swords is very confident in what he knows to be true. The reality of this situation, the reality of his mind is very clear. And so I think that when you hear this voice of like, you're not doing enough, or it's not fast enough, or your success isn't enough, that's really why I'm pushing. You need to practice the gratitude piece. Being content with where you're at. That way you're not constantly in a state of desperation, wanting, because that's going to perpetuate if that's your constant state. So really getting grounded with acknowledging what you have been able to do, continuing the momentum. And then when these pesky thoughts come up of not enough, you're able to counter that with what you know to be true. Let's look at your personal projects, your endeavors. This is like career, goals, whatever it is you're working on. The Sun, have fun with it. If it brings you pleasure, if it brings you joy, it is worth investing in. It's worth the energetic investment. So the pleasure is the primary thing coming off of the Sun card. It's just like we can have fun, we can have a good time, we can enjoy ourselves and celebrate. And the Sun is just reminding you to get back in and root into that part of yourself, because it's going to make pursuing your goals a lot easier. Remember, we're aiming for ease in 2020, letting things be easy and acknowledging how far you've come. This will make that compound. Okay, now let's see what's going on in your relationships. Yes, this can absolutely be romantic if you want some guidance on that this year, or if you're looking for love or anything like that. It can also be who you're currently partnered with, or platonic relationships. It can be whatever your intention is. We have the Four of Cups. I'm getting boundaries are really important. Cancerian energy, especially for those of you who have a lot of it. You know, you want to give, serve, do for other people. It is the nurturer archetype. And what I'm seeing with the Four of Cups is like, okay, cool your jets on that. You really don't want to give so much of yourself to others in your relationships in 2020 that you don't have that energy to give yourself and the things that are important to you. So what I'm seeing for you with this Four of Cups is actually be mindful of your energetic investment, especially like if you're starting to date somebody. You know, don't give them every ounce of your blood, sweat, and tears. You know, don't take that approach in 2020. Really mind your investment. Maybe piecemeal it a bit more. Same thing in friendships. You know, don't love bomb somebody in a friendship. You know, like take it easy. So I'm just getting that being more mindful with the energetic investment early on in relationships or in new stages of relationships is really going to set you up for success in a way that brings about healthier connection, solidified connective tissue. It's going to give you the energy that you need for other areas of your life, and it's just going to bring about a more balanced experience in 2020. Now let's look at your material world. This is money, home, your financial situation, all of the material stuff. Page of Wands. Take inventory. This is a great year to explore maybe a new strategy, a new approach to budgeting or mapping out your finances or goal setting. There's something about like weeding through everything and just figuring out what works and what doesn't, or being more mindful of, you know, maybe you're not tracking every penny, but you're, you know, taking some days to not spend or to save a bit more. It just seems like you're going to want to re-strategize what you're doing with your finances and with your material world. Same goes for if you are in, if you're in the market for like a new place to live or something, just really take inventory of what you're asking for. Make sure you're being super intentional and clear about what order you're placing. And then to clarify this, we have the Two of Hearts. This is equivalent to the Two of Cups. And I'm seeing that your material world, your financial situation can really be supported through the connections that you make, through the people that you meet and all of the relationships that you develop in 2020. So that is something to also keep in mind. If you meet someone who is really in the right space that aligns with what it is that you're needing, this is going to be a good contact to have, connection to have. Okay, then the advice for you in 2020 is the Magician. This goes back to the manifestation piece. What are you asking for? What do you need? Are you coming from a space of gratitude, peace, contentment, and alignment in the present moment, which is what will then expedite the manifestation? So that's the other piece of the Magician is ultra confident that things are going to unfold the way they need to. The Magician is ultra confident in what he's able to create. And that healthy masculine certainty is going to support you in 2020. You don't need to know all the hairy details. You don't need to know each and every nook and cranny of the situation. Simply sitting in the confidence is enough for it to carry weight and for it to expand from there. So I think this is a great year to, you know, piece by piece, focus on your manifestations and maybe start small. You know, don't try to manifest every area of your life right away, but just figure out a few things that you would like to really dive into and get into energetic alignment with. Now, Let's go into the timeline first, second, third, and fourth quarter. You guys know the drill unless you're new here, in which case, hello and welcome. But the first quarter, this is about 3 months of 2020, we have the Knave of Coins. So showing up for the endeavor. I think the primary piece of this is that the Knave of Coins is just about saying, here I am, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is what I'm available for, this is what I'd like to have happen. And it's kind of like being the person to initiate is really important in that first quarter of 2020. Don't be afraid to kind of go after what you want a little bit more and see what happens. Like the only risk is in not making the attempt. So make sure you do that in the first quarter. Second quarter, we have the Seven of Cups. I can't help but laugh just because it's like, go after what you want. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have like 16 different options or seven different cups. But it's just like, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff that's coming up. And so I see this as an overwhelming abundance of opportunities. It's an overwhelming abundance of directions to go. And I see that as a good thing because it's kind of like, you're not going to go wrong. You just need to trust your body, feel into your gut. What does your gut want? But it's just like an outpouring of more and more opportunities coming through. And then third quarter, we have the Nine of Wands. This is about rapid movement in the direction that you want to go. Watch yourself. This is the card that cusps burnout. So you don't actually want to get into 10 of Wands territory. That's going to take it way over the edge. So you're going to want to kind of, chill out, find some ways to balance this out. If you're working really hard, make sure you rest just as hard. If you're going through something really intense and there's a lot of movement, you're going to need to carve out that time for yourself. I'm getting called to remind you of the Four of Cups. Don't overextend yourself. That's just not going to work this year. And so the Nine of Wands is saying, as much rapid movement as there may be, there is also a deep need for you to watch yourself on how fast you're moving, and you don't want to trip over yourself, right? Just because there are a lot of opportunities or a lot of directions to go or a lot of things that come up in this second quarter doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be doing all of them at the same time. So just keep your eyes on that. Wrapping up 2020, we have the Five of Wands. So this is where you actually get into figuring it all out. What I mean, you guys know how much I love the Five of Wands. It's my favorite card because it's problem solving. It's where you actually get to the solution. And the Five of Wands is right as you're getting to that space where this is right before victory, right? So this is right before like another big expansive, aha, I've done it, I've figured it out, we've gotten over the challenge. So the challenge in the Five of Wands is just the problem solving piece. It's not anything dark and scary. It's just the friction so that you can gain traction wherever your energy is pointing in that area. Now let's do a 3-card pick. Pick a card, any card. Feel into your diaphragm, take a deep breath. You can ask a question if you need to, if you want something specific, general advice, whatever it is that works for you. Card number 1, we have the gift. So there's a gift in the situation or the circumstance that's happening right now. This is very hard if you're in a painful spot, right? So if you're going through something particularly troubling, the gift is just highlighting there's something in it for you. So you kind of want to flip the rock over and look at what's hiding underneath because it's more of an elusive card. Like you might not be able to pinpoint it right away. I'm not one of those that pushes everything happens for a reason. No. You don't need to go there. But you can do your best to just try to find how could this potentially be benefiting me, even if that's not an easy conclusion to come to. Card number 2, we have the Hermit. Find your own light internally. This is about kind of breaking off from the pack and figuring out what it is that you want, need, and desire. The Hermit is really good at identifying what makes the most sense and finding that internal clarity. So if it seems like you might be foggy or in need of clarity, which the solution is quiet, contemplation, peace, just keeping things nice and quiet for yourself, and your inner knowing will emerge from there. Card number 3, we have the 10 of Wands. I'm warning you, careful with that. You know, you don't want to get into the overwhelming burden of the 10 of Wands. And I mean, it's not that big of a deal if we're being honest. But the 10 of Wands is kind of like, hey, you're gonna burn out. You're running the temperature too hot. So you need to cool it down. So for you, it's kind of like, cool your jets. You need more yin. You need more feminine. Regenerate. Slow down. Delegate. Be open to receiving and it being easy. This is you being in a state of having to work really hard in order to make it happen. And the solution is to apply less force, turn down the temperature, regenerate your energy. Thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I absolutely appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, if you want to know which decks I used in this reading, they are listed in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe so you have more supportive videos throughout your 2020. And don't forget to watch your sun, moon, and rising if you haven't already. And if you want to know how to work with me one-on-one, go to onyxhealing.com or check out the description box for all of the fun stuff that I have to offer. And until next time, have a beautiful 2020, everybody, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.